Hey, welcome to Binge Bar. People love to dive into the subjects of alternate realities and parallel universes. So what if in some foreign strange universe, the Pittsburgh Penguins did not win the 2005 NHL Draft Lottery and the Sidney Crosby sweepstakes? Today, we'll be talking about what would have happened if Sidney Crosby never played for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, before we even begin, let's travel all the way back, a little further to the late 90s, early 2000s. Far after the Penguins of Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr absolutely dominated the game, winning back-to-back cups in 91 and 92. The Pittsburgh Penguins were now on the verge of relocation due to, well, no money, lack of attendance, and playing in the oldest and labeled the worst stadium in the National Hockey League. The fact Mario Lemieux had to look into moving the Pens to Kansas City was heartbreaking in its own. Then the 2004-2005 lockout had happened. What was so significant about this lockout was that it changed the future of hockey. Typically, the order of draft picks was usually determined by team performance in the previous season, with teams picking in the same order in each round. So since the season was canceled, there were no final positions to base the draft order on. The new CBA modified the draft procedures accordingly. Teams were weighted based on playoff appearances in the last 3 completed seasons and first overall picks in the last 4 drafts. 3 lottery balls each were assigned to teams which had not qualified for any of those playoffs and received no first overall picks in that period. Teams which had 1 playoff appearance or first overall pick in those years were given 2 lottery balls. All other received 1 lottery ball. Only 4 teams were granted having 3 lottery balls. They were the New York Rangers, Buffalo Sabres, Columbus Blue Jackets, and you guessed it, the Pittsburgh Penguins. The lottery was held on July 22nd, and although many notable names came out of this draft, including Carey Price, Anze Kopitar, Bobby Ryan, TJ Oshie, and even Tuukka Rask, the draft was still referred to as the Sidney Crosby sweepstakes. The draft begins, and as we all know and are aware of, the Penguins received the first overall pick and selected none other than Sidney Crosby. The only catch with obtaining this pick was that you couldn't go again until the 60th pick at least, but they received the 62nd pick and selected Chris Letang, so needless to say, Pittsburgh had a pretty decent day. While this lottery was very controversial, the conspiracies that go along with it are still some of the most popular sporting conspiracies and most talked about things still today. But regardless on what you believe, Pittsburgh Penguins had all the lucky balls. Sidney Crosby was and still is a Pittsburgh Penguin. The team has their number 1 center, their franchise player, and the guy who was able to keep them in the Steel City. A new stadium was built, Sid was named captain, and Pittsburgh won 3 Stanley Cups and became a powerhouse in the National Hockey League. We all know the story, but what would have happened if the Pittsburgh Penguins didn't win that lottery? Let's say the Pittsburgh Penguins drafted second even for starters. Who would have they selected? Chances would have been Bobby Ryan or even Jack Johnson. Anze Kopitar would have clearly been better, but Anze wasn't selected until 11th, which is insane. But anyways, the Penguins would have probably selected Bobby Ryan. I mean, that'd be my guess at least. So let's take a look at what the Pittsburgh Penguins would have looked like. 2003, the Pittsburgh Penguins selected goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury first overall, and center Evgeny Malkin second overall in 2004, and in 2006, after Crosby, they selected Jordan Staal second overall. So regardless, those were the guys here with or without Sidney. Mario Lemieux was also still present in the lineup at this time, along with defensemen Sergei Gonchar and Ryan Whitney. It would only make sense for him to pick up a winger like Bobby Ryan if Crosby wasn't made no longer available. So without Sidney Crosby, what would have happened? Well, let's say the first overall pick went to who had the second luckiest ball that day. Anaheim selected Bobby Ryan second overall originally, so let's say they got the first pick. Sidney Crosby on the Ducks? Imagine that. A team built around Sid the Kid, Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry, Ryan Kessler, and so on. This team would have been a modern-day dynasty. What if Montreal, who selected 5th overall, moved up to 1st? Carey Price will have never been a Canadian, but who would have selected Price? With the Pens already having Fleury, who would have they selected at 5th? There are so many different realities and possibilities of what could have happened, but the only thing for certain is that wherever Sidney Crosby went, he was making that team a dynasty, or well, a modern-day dynasty at that. But let's go back to the Sidless Pittsburgh Penguins. The team would have had a very different future, needless to say. That's where the attention shifts over to the Pens, other monster star and force on the ice, Evgeny Malkin. Without Sidney, Malkin would have been their #1 center, their star player, and probably even their face of the franchise. Will Evgeny Malkin excel with the captaincy and the responsibility of being the franchise leader? Malkin was never the lead dog in Russia either. Could he have won the Calder Trophy and been the same force if the team's success hinged on his production? Malkin can be hard on himself. The Penguins would not have handed him the captaincy as early or ever as they did to Sidney Crosby. Angry Gino is still Gino, and when Gino is on his game, he's the best player on the ice. In the reality they selected Bobby Ryan, how would a team of Stahl, Ryan, Malkin, Fleury, and Letang stood up against the National Hockey League? Would the Penguins have kept Ryan Malone due to his chemistry with Evgeny Malkin? Malone would have been a leading player for the Pens as Gino's longtime winger. I guess the craziest thing to take in from all of this, without Sidney, the Penguins wouldn't have had that surge in popularity that they had, and the arena wouldn't have even been built, they would have gone bankrupt, they would have kept losing that money, and would there even be a Pittsburgh Penguins today? Well, if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more like this, please like and subscribe for more. Thank you. We will see you next time.